Hi friends, it's Missy with Missy's Glad Heart Studio. Today I'm going to share with you a paper cutting technique that I call stack and cut. And it's an easy way to create pieces that you can put together like a puzzle to make several cards in no time at all. Today we're using some 6x6 designer series paper from Stampin Up, and I'm going to share with you my template, and then I'll go ahead and cut a set just so you can see how easy it is using my paper trimmer to create the puzzle pieces. So I call it stack and cut because we're going to cut all 4 pieces of cardstock at the same time. And what we'll do first is cut off a 3-inch piece, which will be used for the envelope flaps. And here is an example of that. So the paper is glued to the envelope flap and then cut around with scissors just to add a decorative element to the flap and some nice color. So in the kits that I created for the Aaron's Angels fundraiser, I did not cut off the 1-inch piece. And that was intentional so that people could make that choice for yourself. For example, this is the piece left over after doing the pink envelope flap. You can see here, this is the 6 inches. If I were to turn it this way, you'd see there how it gave me that extra 1-inch piece. So for the kits, I didn't cut off this strip, knowing that you might choose to use something different, to do something different with your inch. But for this example, I have shown that you don't need, for the note card flaps, you just need that 2-inch width, and you'll have this extra strip left. That's the first cut, is to get rid of that 3 inches, 3x6. Then I turn my paper and I'm going to cut this 3x4.5 section, and that's the piece that's going to make our puzzle pieces. The part that remains is 1.5x3, and there's some fun card layouts you can use with that piece. It's a significant size of an extra piece, but for today's video, I'm just going to focus on the 4 pieces that we cut when we use the puzzle template. So a main thing to remember is that the orientation of the flap matters, of the paper, when you put it on the flap. For example, I want my rainbow here to be on the flap in this direction so that the stripes on the flap will be vertical. And that means I have to first cut. My first cut at 3 inches will be so that strip is left with the vertical stripes. Okay, I'm going to set those aside for my envelope flaps, and then I'm going to cut the remaining 3x6 at 4.5 inches. And so what I'm doing is taking off that extra piece of these extra pieces. You'll have one of each of the patterns, and that is 1.5x3. So you can set those aside in your scrap bin. I will show some ideas on how to use these pieces as well. And now we're going to trim at 1 3/4, and that's over here. I'm going to line up. I've still got all my 4 layers together. Sometimes when I'm cutting, I need to do more than one pass through with this dark blade. The dark blade is for cutting on the paper trimmer. The gray blade is for scoring. So I like to say, if I'm going to be scoring, I park the dark and I get that out of the way. But for this project, we aren't scoring. We're just using the cutting. Now I'll go ahead and cut at 1 3/4 inch. So I'm going to be left now with 4 little squares of paper that are 1 3/4 inch square, and 4 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. Set those here. Now one more cut, and that's to take the 1 1/4 inch piece and cut it at 2 inches. So we'll have, again, 2 stacks of pieces of designer series paper. This is 1 1/4 by 2. This is 1 1/4 by 2.5. Now the fun part of sorting them so that we'll have 4 card front puzzles. I'm going to start off just by putting my squares here. Okay, and let's see. Next, I will take I'm going to put those. You can have your pieces go in any way you want. Actually, I'll demonstrate that. So in this case here, I'm going to put my square to the left and then the darker piece to the right. We'll do the same for this one. But then this one, let's mix it up a little bit, just so I can show you that they don't all have to be the same. And then we'll put a rainbow piece. Let's have one here. Basically, you're going through and making sure whatever color you haven't used, you have space for it. So just for variety, I'm showing you here how you can have your larger piece on the top and your more narrow piece at the bottom. It's really up to you how you design this. Now, the last one's easy. You just figure out which one is missing. And here's my rainbow piece. Okay, now I can switch this around so that there's more of a gap there, which is what I like. And now I'm going to put the green in this one. Whoop, that would be too much of the same blue. And here it is here. Again, I'm going to switch that around so that there's a little more separation between these two divisions. Now, something that's really cool about the stack and cut method, the math works out when you are putting them onto the note cards, so that because I'll go ahead and glue one while I'm telling you. Because we cut that 4.5 by 3 inch rectangle, because we made one vertical cut and one horizontal cut, it left the same amount of space mathematically for there to be borders, a nice white border equally around and in between the shapes. And I'm not a precision stamper, but that is something that I enjoy, is the math and the kind of creating symmetry, and so, or just a pleasing balance. And so I do like that this has that nice white border in and around each of the shapes. And so I'm going to take my another stack of the 3 by 3 to show you how you can cut this in another way. Again, we're going to take it to that 4.5. So we have 4.5 by 3 inches. And that's such a nice proportion for these note cards. You can even just put them on just like that and have a nice white border behind and not do any more cutting. You'd have 4 really pretty backgrounds for your cards. That's even a faster way doing the stack and cut. But for this example, let me show you what I'm referring to when I talk about one horizontal cut and one vertical cut. So if I would like to try it, even though I gave you the measurements of 1 3/4 here, I could actually cut it anywhere top to bottom that I wanted. And same with it when I have it turned. So let's go ahead. I'm going to actually do it at an angle just to show you how this works, what I mean about the proportions. So now I'm going to cut a vertical cut from the top to the bottom, but I'm doing it at an angle. And I didn't do any measuring, did I? I didn't look at the numbers. I just eyeballed that. And now I need to do one cut that would be from the opposite direction. So this time, let's just turn it. And this is going to be an experiment because I'm not lining up to see where the cuts will meet on the other part. So now I've done my vertical cut. I need to do this opposite cut. And let's see. Let's do something like this. I want them to be different from each other, the other 2 cuts that I made. Okay, so now my puzzles are much more abstract. My puzzle pieces, there we are. But notice I have 4 again of each paper, each design. So I can simply make my little puzzles again. I'm gonna spread out 1, 2, 3, and 4 of that shape. And we'll go ahead and add the next shape. Okay, there we are. And another shape. I love the rainbow paper. There we are. See how I'm using that? Each piece has an angle, has a corner, I mean. There we are. And our 4th piece. So this again is just which one is missing. This one's missing the rainbow. This one's missing the light blue squiggle. The green's already repeated there. And the blue. So now when I take a note card, let's see if I have some here in my stash. I'm going to pull another one. These are the note cards with envelopes in the basic white. They come 20 in a package, and they're such a great value because you receive the note card cut and scored for you, as well as the 20 envelopes. So now I'm going to use my Tombow adhesive glue to put my puzzle back together. And this time the borders still have that nice white border because I didn't fuss with the 4.5 by 3 inch starting rectangle. But it shows you that you can cut the paper. If you have one vertical and one horizontal cut, then you will maintain that balance. And that's what I think is so fun, and why math is so much fun. So we have an example that is made with the straight cuts as my template shows, with those specific dimensions. And then the second one here with the more abstract. And so you can use the materials in your kits any way you like, of course, or if you're starting from scratch with pieces that are 3 by 4.5. This same concept works with different proportions. This is the proportion that I like to use for the note cards. And what's nice is that also it gives you another half of your paper that you can use either for your envelopes or for other crafting projects. Now, if this is intriguing to you, I would ask you to reach out to me to learn more about my Aaron's Angels fundraiser kit. Some of you have already purchased them, and I appreciate that, and you have them in your hands and are playing with them, or they're on their way to you soon. But in addition to the materials to make 8 cards that are like these, with the puzzle piece, the pearl paper, the pool party paper layering, there are a package of clouds and pre-printed sentiments. So there are no stamps or ink that's required for this project. You can enjoy all the assembly. The adhesives are included, both the Tombow and the dimensionals. The punched clouds, both out of the DSP and of the cardstock, and those sentiments, as well as a package of the Artistry Bloom sequins, which are so much fun. They're super sparkly and fun to play with. You can see them here. I've added them to this card. You also receive some boxes, some of the mini paper pumpkin boxes, which are wonderful to package your cards for gift giving or for storage, or to put a multitude of things will fit inside of these fun boxes. Great, thanks for watching. I do hope that you'll return to see more of my videos, especially to see more layouts that feature these extra strips, the 1 by 6 and the 1.5 by 3 inch pieces. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.